Well, at this point, it appears that President Putin is the one that left Anchorage the victor. He walked away without having to agree to a ceasefire, without committing to any sort of concessions, and without those sanctions that President Trump had threatened to impose if a ceasefire agreement was not reached during this summit. And he achieved all of this while the red carpet was literally rolled out for him by the U.S. president. Now, Trump had come here to Alaska wanting a ceasefire and also wanting, in his words, to set the table for this second meeting between the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, who was not invited this time around, and President Putin, perhaps even some European leaders. And at this point, that did not happen. The president had, before this meeting, suggested that secondary meeting could take place almost immediately right here in Alaska. So Trump, of course, does not see it that way. He went on the conservative news channel Fox after the press briefing yesterday and called the summit a 10 out of 10, saying that real progress had been made, although we have gotten no details on what exactly that progress is. And he also says that he still believes that President Putin wants to get something done. What that something getting done actually look like, what that deal would actually look like for Russia. Of course, we know the broad outlines of that, but it would not be what Ukraine wants. I say at this point it looks like Putin is the victor because there is a chance that these talks have now put both parties on a pathway towards peace.
And Toni, all eyes now turn to Washington, where President Trump will meet with President Zelenskyy on Monday.
Yeah, you're right. He took to social media saying that the Ukrainian president is going to be traveling to Washington, that they are going to be meeting in the Oval Office on Monday afternoon, saying that if it all works out, we will then schedule a meeting with President Putin. Potentially millions of people's lives will be saved. I'd imagine that at the back of President Zelenskyy's mind is that quite fateful February Oval Office meeting between him and President Trump and President Trump's wider cabinet, a meeting that really devolved into a fight almost between the two leaders. President Trump accusing Zelenskyy of not being grateful for the U.S.'s help in this war, also accusing Ukraine of starting this war. And so I think that is probably playing at the back of his mind. Perhaps, though, the Ukrainians are helped by the fact that nothing really materialized from this summit here in Alaska. I also think what is becoming very clear is that President Trump is now trying to start and divert this responsibility for ending this war to other people. He had long believed and long said that he is the only person who can bring peace. He could do it practically overnight. And he's admitted now that it's much more difficult than he's expected. He's now saying that it's up to Zelenskyy and perhaps the Europeans to bring this conflict to an end.